Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning.
We're calling the roll for the Monday, April 27th Board of Control meeting. It is now 11:03 a.m. We have Nan Baker,
Here.
Dale Miller,
Here.
Trevor McAleer serving as an alternate for Dan Brady,
Here.
Nicole English serving as an alternate for Mike Dever, Mike Chambers serving as an alternate for Armin Budish,
Here.
Lee Tucker serving as an alternate for the Fiscal Officer,
Here.
Lenora Lockett. We have a quorum.
Okay. Let's everyone take a look at the public comment. First we got to review the minutes. I apologize. Does anyone have any questions on the minutes from April 20th? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Anybody?
Second.
Seconded by Lee Tucker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public comment. Do we have any public comment?
There is no public comment at this time.
Okay, contracts and awards.
Moving on to new items. The first new item is item number BC 2020-227, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment subsidiary number 3 to a contract with DeJoya Suburban Excavating LLC, and it's for reconstruction and widening of Royalton Road from West 130th Street to York Road in the city of North Royalton, and it's for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $392,962.77.
With Public Works, and this is a contract amendment for a construction project that's ongoing in the field. The main items for this are related to maintenance of traffic operations. This is a state route, and it has several heavy trucking businesses along this stretch of road. And so there was additional work that needed to be done to maintain their driveways, especially because they're semi-trucks, that once they got out in the field was realized. The good news with this is most of it is covered by the federal grant and issue 1. The county only has a 7% share, and the project also is going very well, that it's going to finish a year early, so we anticipate at the end there'll be some savings.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Nicole?
What's the total contract amount, including the amendment?
The total contract amount, ooh, sorry, I'm echoing, is $14,658,155.
Thanks very much, and for the record, this was Dale Miller asking the question.
Okay, any further questions? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
This is Dale. I will second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, item number BC 2020-228, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment to a contract with DLR Group, Inc., doing business as DLR Group, Westlake Reed Lekowski, and it's for programming services for the Justice Center Complex project for the period April 24th, 2019 through December 31st, 2021, to expand the scope of services to include the old courthouse interim central booking, jail population management, and additional work group and steering committee meetings for public forums and diversion services. And it's effective April 27th, 2020, and it's for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $496,875.
Nicole English again with Public Works. So this is an amendment to the DLR Group's contract who's working on the Justice Center programming study for us. There's several items here that have been added due to requests of the steering committee, especially the programming of the old courthouse, interim central booking, additional working group meetings. There's been several instances where we are not able to get full consensus in the steering group meeting, so we're having additional meetings that have to happen in order to get to the end of this project. So that's what the funds are for. I know there was a few questions that we answered for council late last week.
Okay, any questions for Nicole?
Yes, this is Dale. And my question is whether there's a plan as to when and how the executive steering committee process is going to be resumed.
Yes, so we've talked it through that likely the next several will have to be virtual. I believe we're still waiting to schedule the next round, and we're looking at the middle of June as the next time we would, and we'd probably do, you know, a Zoom meeting of some sort where decisions would not be made at that one, but at least get things, you know, reacquainted with the steering committee. They are going to have small group meetings prior to that, just to update all the steering committee members and their staff on, you know, what they've been doing. The team is still working. There's plenty of work to be done. So they are working and having some side group meetings as they need to in order to get their data in order for the big steering committee meeting.
And do we have a revised target date for when we would like to complete the process and have recommendations in place?
We're still talking about late fall is our target. I think we haven't asked DLR to finalize a new schedule yet, just because we don't have that set time for the next steering committee meeting and not knowing, you know, sort of how that'll work. But we have been still targeting, you know, late fall, early winter this year.
Okay, any further
Thank
questions?
you. No further.
Oh, okay, thank you, Dale. Anybody else?
Yes, this is Nan Baker.
Sure.
I see that the original project began in April 24th of 2019. So we're about a year into this now. What have we spent to date in this programming services and conversations?
I'd have to check the payments to date. I do have them upstairs, I just don't have them on me. And I can send that to you as far as what we've spent. We have slowed a bit, you know, over the last few months because there hasn't been a steering committee meeting. The way their payment schedule is that they bill us on a % for each working group meeting, you know, and that's what all the work associated with that meeting. So there's been some slowing down right now, but then we've filled in with some of these additional tasks for them to work on now. So I can get you a number of what's been paid to date.
Okay. I'm just curious that this is to be ending 12/31/2021. So that's a long period of time, and we're asking now for additional funds. Have we exhausted what we initially asked for, or is there still money there? We're asking for additional funds for additional services.
There is still money there to finish the original project as stated. These are all new tasks. So in order to, you know, we added on, we never had the old courthouse as part of the look of the programming study, because initially they had told us they did not want to be included. As part of a steering committee meeting a few months ago, the judges did ask us to add that, and the county executive agreed. So there's been new tasks that have been added. There is still money in the existing contract to finish the original work that was in the scope.
And the original work, you don't think we're going to need more dollars to finish the original scope, or with this, you know, uncertainty as to meeting, that too could be increased?
We're hopeful they can still do the original work with their scope, with the exception of the additional steering committee meetings that does appear as Task 4C on this amendment, and that's because we've increased the meetings that have to happen till the end, but those were outside of the original scope. So I think they're still in good shape to finish the work as stated in the original contract. And then as far as the end date being the end of next year, that's really just to ensure that we wouldn't have to come back and do a time extension. You know, that's to be sure that we have everything done and paid by the end of next year. We do not anticipate them necessarily working on these tasks all the way through the end of 21.
All right, that's good to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hi, Nicole, this is Trevor.
Sure.
Just a question regarding the overall project and where we stand with the projected $76 million deficit to the county and the request for departments to do 15% budget cuts. Is this expected to go forward as originally planned prior to COVID-19, or any questions or thoughts on that one?
We have been told by the executive's office that, this is still an important project and they want us to move forward with it. So we're proceeding in that manner.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, hearing no further questions, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
This is Dale. I will second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, item BC 2020-229, Fiscal Office, recommending an award on a purchase order to United States Postal Service in the amount not to exceed $95,000 for the purchase of postage in connection with the 2020 mailing of homestead applications and valuation change notices.
Lisa Rocco, Fiscal Office. These mailings are statutorily required. The change value notices need to go out 30 days prior to first half tax bills being sent, so that's in November. And then the homestead continuing forms need to be out by the end of the year. They have to be in the mail by January of 2021.
Okay, are there any questions for this item?
I'm sorry, just for clarification, this has nothing to do with the property tax bills that will be mailed out and due in July?
That is correct. This is separate from that.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second Nan Baker.
Dale.
Okay,
I'll second.
seconded by Nan Baker. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
The next item is a two-part item, item number BC 2020-230, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, A, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Adoption Network Cleveland in the amount not to exceed $250,000 for support services to adoptive, kinship, and foster families, and it's for the period April 27th, 2020 through January 31st, 2021, and B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning. Paul Porter, Health and Human Services, on behalf of the Division of Children and Family Services. This funding is for operational support that helps fund a variety of programs, including parent groups, youth group, and children group meetings, family support to adoptive, foster care, and kinship families, mediation services, a helpline for families that are working through issues like this. Funding for this was included as part of the biennial budget process, and the same goes for the next item as well.
Okay, are there any questions for Paul on this item? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Yeah, this is Dale, and I will second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item is also a two-part item, item number BC 2020-231, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, A, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center in the amount not to exceed $250,000 for counseling and justice system advocacy services to victims of rape and sexual violence for the period April 27th, 2020 through January 31st, 2021, and B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Paul Porter, Health and Human Services, on behalf of the Division of Children and Family Services. This funding supports operations that include the 24/7 hotline that Cleveland Rape Crisis Center operates, as well as counseling and that justice system advocacy piece. This was specific funding that was included as part of the biennial budget process in the amount of $250,000.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Are there any questions for Paul? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second. This is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved.
Item number BC 2020-232, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, submitting an amendment to a contract with Fisher and Phillips LLP for legal services for the period October 28, 2019 through October 31st, 2020, to expand the scope of services to include assistance with labor negotiations with Laborers Union 860 and for public relations services effective February 1st, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $150,000.
Good morning, this is Sarah Baker from Juvenile Court. This is an amendment to our contract with Fisher and Phillips, who is assisting the court with our legal negotiations with our union. We did already complete the initial contract, so this is not actually late. I did respond to some of the questions on Friday, so if you have any further questions or any questions backing up off of that, just let me know.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions?
Yes, this is Dale, and how many employees are involved in the bargaining unit that we're negotiating with?
This is Mark Major. I could speak roughly as to those numbers on behalf of Juvenile Court. There are two bargaining units. One are the detention center officers, and the other are probation officers, clerks, and transport officers. Roughly speaking, I'm going to say approximately 220 employees.
And how does it divide up between the two bargaining units?
I believe detention center comprises approximately 90 of the bargaining units, and that's in the form of detention officers.
And when do the existing contracts expire, or have they expired, and when did they expire?
They have expired, and off the top of my head, I believe they expired at the end of this calendar year.
So they expired on December 31st, 2019, is that correct?
That's my understanding, Mr. Miller.
And what is the current status of negotiations?
We're close. I think we're very close with the probation clerk and transport officers. I think we've worked through a lot of issues there. So I expect they would sign. The detention officers it's been a little bit of a rough road. It's gotten better. You may be aware that the union's attorney, Basil Mangano, unfortunately and unexpectedly passed away, and that's kind of slowed us down. The counsel that they have now in Joe Guarino is his negotiating style isn't quite as caustic as Basil's, and I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but that's just accurate. I think one of the biggest dilemmas we have, Mr. Miller, at this point is the schedule. The court is really trying to lock in a schedule here so we can reduce the overtime, and that's been so far the sticking point the main sticking point.
Okay. Good luck in your efforts. Thanks for the update.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any further questions on this item? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second. This is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item number BC 2020-233, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, recommending awards on various purchase orders and enter into agreements with various municipalities in the total amount not to exceed $63,593.54 for the Community Diversion Program for the period March 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020 for the following municipalities, with the City of Brooklyn in the amount not to exceed $2,574.02, with the City of Brecksville in the amount not to exceed $4,088.16, with the City of Cleveland in the amount not to exceed $39,973.08, and with the City of East Cleveland in the amount not to exceed $16,958.28.
is just another batch of our community diversion program agreement. We've already had maybe 5 to 10 already approved previously. So this is kind of a service that we're using to divert youth away from official court involvement, so it's helped saving money there. This year we did a formula to help allocate money based upon the percentage of youth served in the previous year. So we're looking at, how many youth each city served, with our overall total budget. So this is just another batch for approval, and we'll still have maybe 40 or so left to go.
Okay, are there any questions for Sarah? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second. This
Se-
is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Moving on to exemptions, item number BC 2020-234. It's the Fiscal Office recommending an alternative procurement process which will result in payments to various legal firms in the total amount not to exceed $65,000 for professional services rendered in connection with the letter of credit to support hospital revenue bonds, Series 2017, also known as the Metro Health System. For A, Retzel and Andrus, LPA, as counsel to the PNC Bank National Association in the amount not to exceed $30,000. And B, Climaco, Wilcox, Pekka, and Garofoli Co., LPA, as counsel to Cuyahoga County in the amount not to exceed $35,000.
This is Mike Chambers. This is our letter of credit with Metro had expired, actually was expiring this at the end of this month. And we went ahead and our financial advisor through Stifel went out for quotes for us. And we did come back with a much better opportunity by going with PNC. The original amount we were paying was $381,731 a year. We did get another quote then for $254,000, and then we got the best quote with PNC for $190,865. These amounts here represent the attorney fees associated with this going through this arrangement and this letter of credit. So we ask for your approval. Oh, I'm going to ask that I'm sorry. Yeah, this will be conditional on some of the items getting through I'm sorry, what? Oh, this will be conditional on PNC getting registered with the Inspector General. Are there any questions on this item?
Hey, Mike, this is Trevor. I have a question just on the responses to the questions. So we're going to have this legal expense every 3 years or every time we renew this letter of credit?
That is correct, Trevor. One of the options we asked for a 5-year, and the 3-year was still financially better at this point in time, because the longer you go out, the price started going up more. So yeah, these will be, hopefully next time around, we can possibly look for a little bit longer. And also speaking with our financial advisor, there may come such a time where we won't be responsible for this anymore in a few years to come.
Do you know offhand when we are required, how long we are required to have this letter of credit in place?
Yeah, I'm going to mix up the terminology on this, but that's where I'm getting at. There may be a point in time in the next 5 years at the latest that possibly the credit will shift off of us. So I'll get that detail for you.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Lenore?
Lenore Lockett, Office of Procurement and Diversity, is Retzel and Andrus, who was selected by PNC. So I'm still not sure because they're a direct contractor to PNC, but since we're paying them, I'm not sure if they definitely have to be registered. So just conditional in case that it is needed.
Okay, we'll ask for conditional just in case we need to get that handled. So hearing no further questions, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second. This is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, item approved. Next.
Moving on to the consent agenda, item numbers BC 2020-235 through 238.
You take a second and let me know if you have any questions on the consent agenda. Okay, hearing no questions, I will make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items. Do I have a second?
Second, this is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, consent agenda is approved. Any additional items?
We don't have any other business. I would like to, at this time, ask if there's any public comment. There seems to be no public comment at this time.
Okay, so with that being said, then I will.
I have a question and a comment.
Sure.
First, the comment is I'd like to compliment the administration on their success in reducing the cost of the mental health letter of credit. I think that was a good job of shopping around. And my question is whether our next meeting will be 1 week from today.
As of now, I think we're going to keep it going, Councilman. I know we have some items we're trying to move through the system, and we're trying to work on that every day. So yes, I'd like to keep it going if there's no other objections. Yeah.
Okay, no objection.
Any further comments? Okay, then hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second, this is Dale.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Drink plenty of water.